Okay, before we start this lesson on chapter unit 9 is what I'll call it, we are going to be bringing back the positive negative red black game, which is the one where when you see it on your homework, remember that the group that wins is the one with the higher amount, and if they are the same then you add them, and if they are different then you subtract. Kind of like if it's a competition, if they're on the same team they work together, if they're on different teams they compete. And so in this situation, looking at the biggest number, it doesn't matter what the other number is. The biggest number is 9. 9 is negative, so remember that you will select negative. And then because they are the same, again, that means they like each other. 9 and 7 make 16, so that is what you'll put there and there. So again, just a number. You don't need to put the negative. Just say that it's going to be negative and the 16. Two parts we're focusing on. In this problem here, again, look at the biggest number. See that it's positive, which means that my sign should be positive. And then what we do is we say, again, they are working together. 10 and 3 on the same team make 13 because 10 plus 3 is 13. In the next one, you're looking here again, you're recognizing that the bigger number, again, I don't care what the smaller number is for my sign. The bigger number here is negative, which means it's got to be negative. But these two are on different teams, which means they're going to compete, and the negatives would win by 4 because I need 4 more to get to 10, or 10 minus 6 is 4. However you want to think about it, just make sure you're still working on that skill. And then in the last one, the biggest number here is the 7, so it'll be positive because again 7 is positive, and since they're different they're going to compete and the positives win by 2. So again, that will be back in your homework. Just make sure you're ready to do that, and again make sure you're trying to figure out how that works. It's not too bad to do once you kind of start trying to get it under control. 9.1, good news for you, is this class was designed for students who fit a certain situation. They're either bad at math, which no one's really bad at math. They just, because you say something, you kind of start to believe it. And so you think you're bad at math, so you don't really, get it like you think you should. They do not like math for whatever reason, so they don't really try, which these two are kind of about the same, or they don't have a solid work ethic. So in other words, these are students, this class was designed for students who either feel like they don't have the ability to do it, even though that's not true, or they do have the ability, but they just don't do, the work to kind of make it. So it is set up to help you earn credit. So we designed it so that you would not start your freshman year with an F. Pretty much, again, it's just designed to get you credit in your first course while giving you fundamentals to get through your next 2 courses. You do need 3 years of math. This represents your first, and then you have to take algebra with solving and all this stuff again, and then you have to take geometry. The only way you should fail this course here, again, is if you decide just not to do the work, and in that case, there's nothing that any of your teachers can do to help you. If you are deciding not to do the work, that is not a good decision to make. Today's lesson, though, is a review of week 1. Remember that we started our year with the distributive property. Copy these problems that we're doing so you don't have to, so you can have something for your notes on Math XL. So I will talk for a moment to let you do that while we get started. But if you remember, and you do need to copy this for your review because you are going to be expected to put this all on there, we talked about meetings. We talked about these two being friends because they're inside of a parentheses, and this person wanting to meet everybody here. And so we drew a line from there to there, and we said that 5 meets 7x. Again, you're going to have to type that in parentheses. We then connected with a plus, and then we say that 5 meets the other number, which again you have to be respectful of that negative, which is negative 4. We then did our multiplication, 5 times 7, 35 with an x. And then what we learned in the first unit was that whenever you have a negative times a positive, or whenever the signs are different, or one negative makes it negative 20, because what we discussed was that the positive negative multiplication works like a coin. I'm looking for my coin, but I can't find it because it's been here forever. But that whenever you multiply a negative times a positive, one negative flips it over to be negative, 2 negatives flips it back over to be positive, and so on. But that is the question that you want to make sure you have written down, because again, the questions that I'm getting from students, they tend to say, well, I don't know how to show the meetings, but the meetings are right here in your notes. So there really is no excuse for you to say that you don't know what to do when everything that I'm showing you is what you need to type into the computer. Here, again, the 9x and 8 are friends because they're in parentheses. This negative 3 wants to meet them, so I put negative 3 meets 9x. I then put plus, again, always a plus, and then negative 3 meets 8. From there, again, one negative, remember, makes it negative. 3 times 9 is 27 with an x. Negative 3 times 8, again, that's one negative in there, which means it's going to be negative, which makes negative 24. Do not be ashamed if you have to put negative 3 times 8 or to put negative 3 times 9. The bottom line here is that you're getting the right answer. We will eventually work on your skill of doing the other things, but like I said, the main thing here, especially for your homework and your quiz, is making sure you get it right and minimizing your mistakes. I'll leave that there so you can copy it if necessary. On the other one, remember that you did not have to have the number in front. Again, these were all things that you saw on your first test. So you should be kind of used to them, or at least here's your welcome to them if you're starting to work just now. But again, the thing was, these two are friends. Now 6 is going to meet 8x, and I usually just always start with the number from the outside. So 6 meets 8x, and again, I always use a plus. 6 is going to meet 5. These are both positive, so it does not matter. 6 times 8 is 48x. And then 6 times 5 is a positive 30. And that would be my answer that I am looking for. So again, not too bad, not tough. Just you got to make sure you're ready for what's going on. Again, I'll leave that in the screen for you to kind of see why we do what we do. Here again, 2x and 7 are friends. This number wants to meet them. And so when it says show the meetings, this is what we're talking about. So negative 4 meets 2x. Always connect with a plus. We will see that even on the end of the week when we do something kind of different. And then negative 4 meets negative 7. Again, the thing that you've got to make sure you learn to do is respect the sign. This is a positive 2x. That is a negative 4. That is a negative 4. And that is a negative 7. As you start to learn to respect the signs, things will work out for you and you'll get better. But other than that, one negative makes this a negative 8x. Here, two negatives makes this a positive, because remember I said two negatives work together. Or sorry, two negatives will flip it over twice, which makes it a negative or positive. Sorry, I'm confusing everybody. One negative is negative, two negatives makes it positive, and that's where that comes from. Because you're expected to show your work, remember your answers will look exactly like the notes you just copied. Please take responsibility for following the directions and do the problems the way that you've been shown. Again, in the first quarter, because you come from middle school, because I don't know what they do back there, but I know that in middle school I think you get away with a little bit, and whenever you complain, your teachers kind of fold to what you say. That is not the case in high school. And so when you email me or email your teacher and say I don't get it and you've done nothing at all, we really don't respond to that the same way, because we can only help if you try to help yourself. So if you have issues with the review, be sure to email for assistance. Do not, again, send an email for assistance without sending a screenshot of your attempt. If you don't know how to send a screenshot, please make sure you ask and figure out how to send a screenshot. But again, the emails that I got last quarter that we really couldn't do anything with then and still can't do anything with now is the one that says I don't get this. Well, that's what this video's for. That's what this lesson's for, is to help you get it. Hopefully you're taking good notes, but you should not be sending this. That means you probably did not pay attention, or you've had the wrong thing in your mind. Another one I used to get is, how do I do this? Well, if there's no screenshot and you're asking me how to do it, I can't tell you anything because I don't know what you're talking about. Plus, how do I do it is being explained right now. And then I love the ones where they say it wasn't explained in the video, because what you don't realize is me and Miss Johnson both work together on this stuff, and so we make the notes based off of what we know is going to be on your work, and so we always explain what's on your work. So please make sure you do that. The only way for you to get better at a skill is to accept the challenge of using it. We do not care if you use it incorrectly, but you must accept the responsibility of taking the notes, which is the first thing most people don't like to do, and actually trying it out on your own. Imagine a 5-year-old trying to make breakfast. Of course, they're going to probably screw it up, but there's going to be things that they do right, and there's going to be things you say, you know what, you did this part right, but you can fix that. But you can't improve unless you actually try to make and move on their own. So after you make an attempt, any teacher can help you make better decisions. What we cannot do is simply take nothing at all, which means you not even wanting to take the notes or learn it and then tell you how to do it, because that's just giving you the answers, and that's not what high school or life is about. Sorry for the lecture. Let's look at how we're shifting your material for the second quarter. Only thing we're doing is we're adding decimals. But again, because we're adding decimals, you just use your calculator. The key thing is use your training to do that. And this is what your work's going to look like, and it's going to be a box over here, which means that you don't have to show the meetings, but I think it does help to show the meetings on your own paper. That is why we are slowly letting you slide. 8.4 meets 2.3D, and 8.4 meets negative 7.1. In the end, inside this box, which is what your homework is going to show you, again, I'm trying to make sure you see it the way it is. Just make sure you type it in the right way. So 8.4 times 2.3 is 19.32. D, because there's a D attached to it. And then 8.4 times negative 7.1 is negative 59.64. And so that is what you will put into the box. So the only thing we're doing today to extend you out a little bit is to throw decimals in there. Now we are going to take more steps starting tomorrow, just like we are on everything else we review. But the key thing to remember is that you have the fundamentals. You just have to extend it and not let the decimals intimidate you. As long as you don't do that, you should be okay. Another one you're going to see obviously is with negatives. So here you're going to have a box over here again for the answer. But on scratch paper is where I would put the work of negative 2.9 meets 8.6K. Again, always with a plus, and negative 2.9 meets negative 4.2. Again, the thing you want to do next is type it in. So negative 2.9 times 8.6, which is negative 29.94. And then again, I need to put the K on there, don't forget that. And then I need to do negative 2.9 times negative 4.2, which is 12.18 positive. And that would represent what you need. Now here's the thing, and I might have even done it and I'm not sure. Because it's decimals, because the numbers are bigger, I'm not as good at trying to kind of make sure everything's where it is. But I do know that about 8 times 3 is about 24, so that makes sense. Or actually 9 times 3 would be 27, and 4 times 3 would be about 12, so it does make sense. But when you start using your calculator, you want to make sure you take your time, because there is no common sense in your work once you turn it over to a calculator. So just make sure you're thinking your way through it and ready to go. But be sure to complete the work that requires you to show the meetings. That would be the first ones on your homework before attempting the ones with decimals, because those actually work on the foundation before you can start taking shortcuts. Because you don't have to show your work for this part here, what happens is laziness kicks in, lack of discipline kicks in, and then all of a sudden you get frustrated. And like I said, all of a sudden we get these emails that say I don't get it. But if you get to that point, you should be able to get it right. All it comes down to you doing is just typing it in the right way. So if you're able to work through the second portion of questions without showing the meetings, that would be this part. Feel free to do that. But just make sure you do what you need to do in terms of all that. So if you do, just do it on a separate sheet of paper and then copy the answer down. But just remember to let us know if you're having any issues with the material. Other than that, like I said, starting another quarter, you have a great shot at passing this quarter, because even those of you who didn't do the work, you kind of started working on this stuff at the end of it. So let's go ahead and make sure we're where we need to be. So good luck.